the people need to know.
Yeah, the people
need to know the truth.
Welcome to your weekly EchoForge update. This week is going to be a special week because we are going to share with you our origin story and the complete roller coaster that it's been to get this started. So you get to know who we are, where we came from, why we're doing this at all. So Julian, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Don't mind if I do, my friend. I have been writing software since 2006. 2006, I think, was the first time I compiled a custom DLL to cheat in video games. That was like many young men. My initial attraction to software was video games, and then grew into a general interest in engineering, technology, mathematics, a lot of that kind of stuff. Went to school in Wisconsin for computer science, ended up freelancing web dev, which I really enjoyed, right? There was a lot of communication there, a lot of working with people on a personal level. Freelancing was it paid the bills, and it gave me an opportunity to really start working with people on a personal level that was it was fulfilling, and gave me access to a lot of kind of cutting edge technologies for small medium businesses. What I did often: integrations, office management integrations, inventory integrations, automations for email, etc., etc. So of course I was very interested in the AI wave.
Yeah.
And about 2 years ago, started getting really huge. It wasn't difficult to see what was coming on the horizon, and I taught myself a lot about artificial intelligence, everything from the way it's deployed to the way it actually works, the hardware that runs it. Tried to follow along as best I could with a lot of the professional labs that were building AI solutions, building large language models, neural nets, image classification models. As it started to get enterprise level, I got very interested in creating automated solutions that were actually useful and not mere question and answer things. So it's been interesting. I originally wanted to make video games. Believe it or not, I made Minecraft mods. I wrote Minecraft mods, and that was I actually met a lot of really interesting people doing that kind of thing. So decided to go professional startup route, and then we met. So
yeah,
that's how I ended up here, brother.
My background is in finance. I will say I never thought that I would end up a banker. It really wasn't my cup of tea. I was just kind of working restaurants, looking for, something more professional and a career. I was looking for a career and had a lot of struggles earlier on in my 20s. Went through some difficult things, and about later in my 20s, probably around 27 or something like that, someone asked me, "Hey, did you ever think about working at the bank? You have great customer service skills." I was like, "No, no, I have not thought about working at the bank." And it kind of developed those. So I decided to take the job. And what I found out is it was, sales, it was people, it was conversations. Those types of things just came naturally to me. So I did well, moved up the ranks in the banking world, went from, a teller to an assistant manager to a manager, then managing multiple branches, winning awards, and then, eventually managing 2 branches at once. And then I decided that I wanted to get out of retail banking. I had always liked business. I'd always thought about starting my own business. So I was attracted to the small business space. And, what I ended up doing was getting a job as a business banker. And I was working at one place for a while. And I switched jobs probably, a year and a half ago. Same job, different place, ended up with a VP title and all this stuff. And I was miserable. I didn't believe in the business banking stance for small businesses by most major banks. I just have seen the care for small businesses go down the tubes by most of these major banks, larger corporations. And so, it was a difficult time. And then uh, I had a referral for a loan. This bridges into how we met. So in my business banking job, I had to have referral sources. I had a referral source that sent me somebody from Milwaukee that needed a loan, and ended up talking to this guy, getting to know him. He seemed like a really good guy. And as we talked more, I told him that I had thought about, getting into business myself, thought about consulting, and also I'd taken a few courses on web development. And he said, "Well, hey, there's this AI thing. You should check it out." And at the time, I didn't know anything about it. So I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'll listen to you." So he started talking about N8N, and
Hmm.
these low code tools at that time. They said there was two other people and myself. They were both running an Amazon reselling business, and wanted to get into this AI thing. They pulled me into it, and I was pretty excited. It seemed like a really good idea the more that we looked into it, but we needed a software developer.
Hmm.
So
Yes, you did.
Julian, so Julian had his freelancing business and had an advertisement up,
Mhm.
and in comes Julian. Um, and I guess, Julian, I would leave it to you here so you can
Yeah.
share what was that experience like
Well, that was interesting,
meeting
man.
those guys up in
That was
Milwaukee the first
interesting.
time.
I remember getting a call from my Craigslist ad because I specifically put AI in the ad. I know it was hot. Like AI was hot. It's on fire, dude. Everybody wants it. Everybody needs it. There's no avoiding it. It's a new paradigm. So I put it in the Craigslist ad. I got the call. Gentleman says, when can you come down and visit? And I'm like, I'm a go-getter, dude. I'm like, I'll come down right now. I came down, I drove down like 45 minutes south of where I was to meet up with him. I go in, they start grilling me about N8N. I've always been skeptical of those low code tools, but they pitch me a position. Um, I'm like, yeah, if you'll pay me, I'll work. Right. And, so this was Ben and Julius. This was and I'm like, no problem. They're gonna pay me. Okay, they'll pay me. They'll buy me lunch. They'll buy me coffee. I'll be here Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day. Why not? So I start showing up. We get everything set up. I'm giving them the ins and the outs. They have very little respect for the actual infrastructure that goes on with deploying a web app. But we start developing the general idea, and I believe you and I met like maybe 2 days after this, or the next day. You and I met the next day over a video call, I believe. Um, we start coming up with this general idea, and it's something that I don't know who everybody wants to take credit for an idea when it comes up, but it's kind of like one of those emergent things that was starting to take place because this gentleman Ben knew obviously some business owners, and he was thinking, how can we help business people with AI? Where can AI help? Where can AI help? And it was content generation. That was the thing that they were sold on, this idea that content generation, when pipelined correctly and set up with the right front end and given the nice bells and whistles and very appealing to the modern business owner, could be sold at a premium of like $1,500 a month or something wild like that. Some crazy markup like that, some just incredible thing. And I'm like, well, you're paying me, and yeah, I can put it together. So I put together a svelte front end. It was beautiful, beautiful website. I put it all together, and I start tying in the back end and everything, and trying to tell them, what kind of, you're gonna need a real data layer. You're gonna need actual hosting. You're gonna need low latency, delivery for users. You're gonna need in there. Um, anyway, then we met, you and I, and I know there was some other stuff going on business wise there, but I was the sole developer. I was brought in to work on AI. Up to that point, everything was honky dory. It was great. It was honky dory, right? I don't mind driving down, going to work. They left me alone, kind of. I could put my headphones in, focus on the work while they were in the other room doing heaven knows what. And
Nothing.
and then you actually came to Milwaukee. You came to Milwaukee to visit us. And that was when we met, like officially for the first time, and that was great. I really that was a great experience meeting you, because by that I was getting a bit skeptical of Ben and Julius and their
I can't imagine why.
so that was a good time. That was a seminal moment in my life. That was a turning point, as they say. So
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. That was it was a very exciting time for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Also, during this time, I should say that I was fed bad financial records and made a snappy decision to also invest in this Amazon company, because I figured, well, we're going to start this. I'm going to, invest in this Amazon company that had already been running and actually had done well as far as gross goes the year before. And I was buying into that company. So we're starting this, and mainly I think all of us were focused on the AI
Mhm.
and the platform that we were looking to create, which is a shadow of what EchoForge has now become. Really, the idea for some of it was all the way back then,
Mhm.
and um, and then things started to go awry. We
Yeah.
realized that these two gentlemen were, I don't usually throw out buzzwords, but narcissist for sure, for the one, for Ben, the main one. I would say, yeah, it was pretty terrible experience, turned into really controlling, abusive, type behaviors, which was crazy for somebody that owned just as much as I did of the AI company. And one of the things that always freaked me out about the situation was that I trusted you and I knew you knew what you were talking about, and they did not. And the grandiose ideas that they had that just were constantly changing became a lot, along with realizing that uh, the money that this gentleman, claimed to have, and the success that he claimed to have with this business turned out to all be a fraud. Um, and right around the time that a lot of this stuff started coming to light, this was when we had that personal conversation
Mhm.
where it was like, you know what, you're a good guy, I'm a good guy. You know, my part and your part
Mhm.
of the business were really the only parts that were needed. Those guys were more dead weight, looking for people to essentially work for them and make them money.
Yes.
And so right around that time was when we talked. And shortly after our first conversation, where we kind of leveled with each other and we're like, hey, if this doesn't go well, we should still work together, um, was the decision to, yes, we're
Mhm.
both definitely exiting the situation. We definitely want to work together. And then um, you said, hey, I don't mind moving down to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what was that like, moving from
And
Milwaukee to Pittsburgh on a whim for a startup?
um that was great, man. I mean, that was honestly, like, I have been always kind of adventurous, and it is difficult to find people who you really connect with. And especially people who, like, not only can you connect with them, but you can trust them and you can collaborate with them. And it's like, we oftentimes we go through in life, we have things like, you're put into situations, like you're put into a place. It's like, oh, and I have to collaborate with this person in my work, and this person in my job, and you're inside a containerized environment where you have this collaboration. It's like necessity to cooperate, and it makes everything very straightforward and very little agency is involved. I tend to trust in a combination of my intuition and my emotions and providence. And when I see something and I see a path opening up, and I'm like, this is a good idea, right? Because what we were discussing with when we were all working together in Milwaukee, it was a very good idea.
Mm.
Very good origins, very good kind of concepts that we're getting. Some of them may be a little um overzealous, some of the concepts, right? But like you said, there were things that our previous business associates did not understand on a technical level. And when if there's a lack of understanding on a technical level, then things can seem possible or within reach that require vastly more effort and resources than is currently available. So there are a lot of those. But what you and I were talking about, which was something that it you do intuitively grasp when you're kind of more familiar with the way systems work, which is the actual scope, the resources, and the potential that something has to work. And we're looking at this, and you had just immediately a grasp of what was actually possible, what was feasible. Um, you had the kind of like the chemistry, right? There's something that's like um a very good opportunity for collaboration, and I was like, oh, this is great. Not to mention that we did have, several irons in the fire, right? And in addition to the origins of the EchoForge that was being worked on, um there was some other projects that we had working on that had a lot of promise, things that we knew we could do, things that maybe into the future will actually be pulled out of the warehouse and put into some development pipeline. But we had a lot, and I was like, this is an opportunity that is uh impossible to ignore, right? This is one of those things where it's like, oh, do I stay comfortable and stay risk averse, or do I take the chance and really make sure that I am like all in and dedicated, and I think of it as like uh, a fantastic choice to go all in and become totally dedicated and devoted to accomplishing something. um you launch that ship from your dock, from the bay, and you go out, and there's going to be storms out there. You don't
Mm.
know, it might be sea monsters, there might be sirens trying to distract you along the way, but you're like, I am launching the ship, dude, and I trust in my tools and I trust in the crew, and it's a great feeling. So um it was a big move. I mean, I have a pretty Spartan lifestyle, so managed to you know, pull it off in one trip. And as large as the United States is, Milwaukee to Pittsburgh is not that. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. Oh, and beautiful, beautiful state. Wonderful people. Beautiful state. Huge fan of Pennsylvania.
Hear
I
that, Pittsburgh?
We're talking about you,
Even the
baby.
weather.
We love
Even the
you.
weather. He loves it here.
Oh, it's amazing.
So stop complaining.
And I will, as a side note, always been a nature guy and an outdoorsman, and it's absolutely breathtaking, stunning, some parts of this state. So don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted, my friends. And now I am a proud Pennsylvanian.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, it was definitely I was very excited,
mhm,
However, at that time I was also dealing with the fact that I lost a lot of money
mhm.
on this
Yeah.
business deal. It was actually probably still could be an FBI case, and I'm putting this on the internet because I don't care.
Yeah.
But it probably still could be.
Deserve to know. The people need to know.
Yeah, the people
The
need to
people need
know,
to know the
man. You need to
truth.
know what's going. So I actually reached out to local police, all this stuff, but it ended up being probably in the realm of about $30,000 to $35,000 loss, and this was right at the same time. Literally, I think I remember some of this happening the day that you came down.
Yeah,
I was updating you,
that was
and
wild.
insane. And just so remember, be careful who you get into business
Mhm,
with.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, that's like it's like it's nice. I don't know, dude. It's nice to remain positive about this stuff, but very seriously, if you are considering going into business, watch out for get rich quick stuff. Watch out for people who promise more than they can deliver. Watch
Yeah.
out for these things like there are like it's not to be cynical or pessimistic or anything, but there are always snake oil salesmen out there who will
Yeah.
sell you a dream.
Yeah.
They will tell you that something is possible that's not. And they have absolutely some of these people have absolutely no conscience,
Yeah.
and they are willing to say or do anything to get some money. So it's unfortunate, and we can joke about it and kind of laugh about it and such, but being realistic, it's a big ding, and it's something that um, you know justice will be served. Let the investigators do their job, please. Hopefully, FBI, if you're watching this,
Yeah. If
come
you
on,
guys are
man.
tuning in right now.
Come on.
So yeah, I mean, and I want to come back to that what you were talking about being able to have that trust, because I think that that has a lot to do with where we're at now, but we're not there yet in the story. So
Mhm,
we'll get to where we are now with the Echo Forge. So, like you said, we had some irons in the fire,
mhm,
and one
mhm,
of them um, didn't pan out so well. That was what we expected to do initially, and I know you put a lot of work into a project that the customer ended up not wanting it.
mhm,
And so, right around that time, we had discussed going back to the initial idea. And a friend of mine, who we will always be thank you, Matt, we always be thankful for, said, "Hey, come down to this thing." He worked for the Pittsburgh Robotics and AI Institute, and they had like a happy hour. And we told him what our idea was, and he was like, "Can you get it ready in 1 month? We have an event at the convention center." So I looked at Julian. I said, "Can we?" And he said, "Yeah, we can do it." So I want to touch on that too,
mhm.
because it's so easy to think so much about where we're at now and forget, those initial starting points. What was that like to be like, okay, I have to build this thing in 1 month?
Yeah, man. Oh, well, it was it was a lot. It was a lot. Um, it was a lot. I'm trying to remember like the details. It all kind of becomes a blur. But conceptually, we had a lot of the things in place, right? Conceptually, there's a level of architecting that goes on, and the fundamentals remain relatively the same. Um, it was more limited in scope than what we currently have, which means that there were many, like going to a minimum viable product from a skeletal framework and a lot of boilerplate stuff and code that had been worked on before, and then bringing it into um, a minimum viable product is a lot of attaching the right wires, plugging everything into each other, getting things set up smoothly so that you have like something that's mostly functional. Uh, it's it's not I can't say it was easy. Definitely not. Absolutely not. It was nice though. It was nice because you land, like you said, we had some stuff that didn't pan out. We land and we immediately had something to aim for. We had a target, and we had a timeline, and we had a physical place that we were going to be, and this is something that coincidentally enough is occurring again very soon.
It is.
Very soon. Spoiler alert. Um,
It
so
is.
it's a good feeling. It's honestly a good feeling because you sit there and you work, and it's like you get people who are interested, and you talk to people about the development of the platform, and you talk to people about what's coming in the future, and you get people on board, and things break and you fix them, and you have this iterative cycle that goes on and on. But then you have this big huge event thing, this occurrence, this moment that you're working towards, and that is an indispensable part of motivation. I feel this idea of the deadline, because it is being self-motivated and establishing deadlines and establishing a disciplined manner in which things are done. That's tough.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows that. I think everybody's dealt with that, whether it's something you're trying to do in your personal life, it's something in your professional life, or it's something that you've wanted to do but you never got around to it. It is very difficult to establish motivation without external pressure. It's
Yes.
possible. It's
Yeah.
possible. It is,
Absolutely.
but a lot of times, and this applies to literally like every form, everything in life. A
Mhm.
lot of times, external pressure will force you into making a decision,
Yes.
whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
You know, it's that will, and this could be, it could be a good or a bad thing. And in our case, it was a good thing
Yeah.
because we got an opportunity that has since borne a lot of fruit and has led to more opportunities and given us like an accelerant in getting to certain points
Yeah.
with GemX AI, our company, the EchoForge, developing a marketing strategy. I mean, we didn't even really have marketing content before that.
Yeah, I mean, before the event, we had we didn't even have a logo.
We
We
didn't
didn't
even have
have
a
a product
we didn't have a
name.
name.
We developed the product name, the logo, the colors. I think pretty much everything
Yeah.
a week
Yes.
before the event, and then we had to get marketing stuff printed out. I mean, it was like a scramble to
Yeah.
develop this stuff. This I'm sure not only the software development, but just the whole idea. What do we call it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we landed on the name Echo Forge because a lot of the first of all, we both like video games, and it was
Yep.
kind of like we wanted that kind of feel of like logging into something cool,
Mhm.
something enjoyable, and kind of a cool name. And it also tells what the platform does. We are moving towards making it the smart business assistant now, but even back then it was more about, when we are the first main feature that we had was the ability to generate high quality images and also post everything to all of your
Mhm.
socials. That's where we started. Um, and you know, it was definitely a scramble.
Yes. Yeah.
So I also wanted to ask you, because I think this was a cool moment for both of us, but I especially want to know from you. You put this thing together.
Mhm.
Because let me just make this clear to everybody: I am not the guy that's out here coding anything, because I know very basic terms. I trust him with the rest because he does know what he's doing. So, um, you put this thing together. I'm trying to make logos and do different stuff like that, whatever I could figure out, how to do. And then we were able to go to this event, and we were able to stand there for, was it 2 days? Was it one day? two
That was
days.
one day.
Was it one day? One day. One long day.
One long
Felt like
day.
2 days.
10 hours. 11 hours.
And
Yes.
so many people came up to us. I don't, I think we did get a customer from that
I
initially,
think we did.
but
Yeah.
a lot of people had a lot of cool things to say.
Hmm.
And I know it was definitely really encouraging for me. So, as the creator,
Hmm.
the father of the Forge, if you will,
Yeah.
how did that feel?
That was great, man. That was excellent. That was superb. It was superb because it was, having it, seen the level of enthusiasm that people had when they encountered it was very encouraging. Very encouraging, as people were seeing a genuine interest. Is when you're working on something, you work on it day and day and day, and then you kind of know you have such an intimate relationship with it that that something's, if something's not quite right, or what's next, or what needs to get fixed, or what's next, in the recipe, what ingredients are not quite there yet. So you develop a overall very critical outlook of
Yeah.
it, especially with software, because there are so many moving parts. Then you lay the front end over it, and that's what people see and what they engage with. And even the people who are technical, they're coming up and they're asking me questions about how things are working on the back end, how things are working with the data processing. And so the level of enthusiasm, level of interest, and the general, I mean, and you know, the design and the layout and the colors and the name and the whole thematic introduction that we did contributed a lot to that, right? It's a look and it's a feel and it's a technical capacity thing. So we had a lot of people coming up, and I think they're drawn in by the general aesthetic, which was absolutely nailed, absolutely killer, especially early on. Um, and they're drawn in, and then they see it and it's like, what is this? And we start showing them, give them a little demo. And that was cool too, right? Because that gave us the crunch time, kind of gave us this idea of like, okay, well, what is it really, how long do you have to show somebody something? You've got a couple minutes. In a live event like this, you got a couple minutes. So we worked on our three flagship features, and seeing those in the wild and having them work, which was the automatic one shot social campaign generation that uses generated media, that uses a consistent posting style that is able to kind of, um, with one shot of natural language, create a whole indefinite posting social interaction campaign, something that now has evolved to include not merely like the standard social platforms, but things like business profile, things like actual integrating user media that is then brought into the generative pipeline, like platform differentiation depending on specific appeal, the smart AI evaluation that understands business appeal, target market, all of those things, and is able to bring those factors kind of into the actual campaign generation itself. But that was in its primal essence there. And that
Yeah.
was cool. And you see it and you show it to people, and they can click and be like, cool, here it is. Because we had it all set up. We had the demo all
Yeah.
set up and the display all set up. So people could come up and say, what is this? And I'll be like, oh, here it is. And you show them. And a lot of wows, a lot of people impressed, and a lot of people who
Mhm.
are interested. And that was very encouraging. That felt really good. That was awesome. And these events are always, I always like these events, even though, you got to stand around for long hours and your legs get tired and there's not enough food and you
Yeah.
start to get dehydrated. But it was cool. It was very cool. And
Yeah.
we'll never forget what Matt was able to do for us out there. And really, as a first impression, too, as an early impression of the technical capacity of the Pittsburgh kind of scene and being new to the city and new to the whole environment out here. It was it was excellent, and my only regret is not being able to poke around and play with some of the drones. But that was a
Yeah.
phenomenal event. The crunch time was very dearly needed, and it was absolutely enriching to be able to see the Echo Forge out in the wild for the first time.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, and it was shortly after that, I think that was mid-November, maybe, and maybe even late November, and then we soft launched EchoForge in early December,
Yes.
and, it was
Yeah,
right
first
then
week of
when we
December.
yeah, we
Mhm.
got our first customers on, so you know, uh, that's my side of things is the customer acquisition part. It helps that I have many business relationships from years as a business banker, and thank you to those that have been our customers, that have stuck with us, and that are staying with us as we move forward because, you know, we started getting people on. And then one of the biggest things, probably for the first 2 months, was getting that feedback of,
Oh, yeah.
okay, hey, this thing didn't work, because what you've taught me about software, I guess what we both also learned trial by fire, is that not everybody is going to use it the way that we think, because I'm used to using it. I will use it to post this video that you're watching right now. But a lot of people use things differently. People's understanding of technology varies drastically. You could have somebody that may understand the mechanics of what they're looking at, and then you may have somebody that is not sure how to open a Word document. And there's nothing wrong with either of those. And we have to try to um, make something you've had to try to create something, and then we both have to brainstorm about
Hmm.
simplifying and boiling this thing down to a more simple level where, we have this complex, especially now, as we're moving the last month, probably month and a half, as we've moved towards a direction that's a smart business assistant, right? Um, I know one of the challenges that we've both talked about, more intimately because you're the one that's actually coding the software, but even just from a logical standpoint, is well, as we add all these new features, there's going to be more settings needed. We
Hmm.
need to make sure the AI is behaving correctly. How do we simplify it? And um, so I guess I should mention some of the new features. So right now, obviously, we have the automated campaigns, image generation. We now have video upload, video campaign posting, which is difficult, by the way, because every platform behaves differently when it comes to
Hmm.
video and photos, really, but and text post. So it's pretty cool. But we're also now looking to bridge the gap between social media and actual actionable and verifiable data that says, hey, I'm getting leads from social media, not just ads, not ad spend, but from consistency on social media, which is helped by the automated campaign feature, because basically, as long as you upload the media, it's automatically consistent for you. But you know, can consistency on social media bring actual leads, and then with those leads coming in, um, can we have a communication flow with them to make sure that they are moving from lead to customer, and what does that flow look like? So we've added lead forms that can be attached to anything, website, um, your posts, which is probably the best use of them, and they can be sent as a link, with totally customizable lead forms. What we're working on right now, or what features that we have coming up right now, are also the text campaigns. So the idea in our mind is that lead comes in, they get an automatic text from the EchoForge with whatever link you want them to have. Whether if they filled out the lead form, you want to send them a text and just say, hey, we'll call you at this point, or here's a calendar link, or whatever. So they get instant engagement, because so much on social and in life is about engagement. If people buy things from people because they trust them, and people trust people that are engaging with them, that actually seem to prioritize them as a customer. And we've learned that as well, and I've known that from being in like the business world for a long time. So the text campaigns, which can be sent even to old customers. Maybe you want to send all your former customers a text once every 3 months and just thank them for their business. And that can help pipeline new referrals from old customers. Constant contact with the people that you've already worked to get in front of just makes sense. It just makes sense. If you're not doing that, I understand why you wouldn't do it before, because of time, because it was difficult. Maybe there's too many platforms to use, but that is why we're building these things into the EchoForge. So it's all in one: email campaigns, text campaigns. You can even text back and forth or email back and forth with the AI assistant in the EchoForge. And then, really moving to get all of those things that are happening, the text, the email, the communication, the leads, the social posting, and boil down the analytics in a way that can help you as a business owner make better business decisions. Um, and beyond that, the big thing that I know you've been working on right now is the AI assistant,
Hmm.
because as you've mentioned to me, and I'll let you tell it, but there's been adding more tools
Hmm.
makes the AI more complex.
Vastly more complicated. Yes.
So
Yes.
So yeah, and anything you want to talk about with any of these features, or even just like what you're going through right now with the AI assistant, what you're trying to work on now, maybe
Mhm.
I know might have to be more layman's terms because it's
Nah.
probably, you
Well, it's
know,
all. I mean, it's all related, right? It's all the kind of. It's. There's a level that we have as humans of we can compartmentalize. We can kind of understand what we're doing at different times. We have this ability to. We take it for granted very often. We have this ability to develop kind of cognitive frameworks for all these different things. So sending a text or sending an email, they seem trivial to us. It's very trivial because we're so brilliant, because we are so absolutely intelligent and capable that pulling out your phone and sending a text is there's no level of difficulty there. To an AI, it has to be basically supplied with sensory organs, and it has to be supplied with a scaffolding that allows it to understand even what's going on. So when you talk to it and you say, "Hey, um, when did uh, when did um, when did the Great Barrier Reef? When was the Great Barrier Reef discovered?" Okay, then can go into Wikipedia because it has access to a bunch of information on the internet, and it can pull all of this like related stuff depending on how these concepts and words relate to each other, and it can present it to you. But when you're like, I want you to send a text message to all of my clients, there's this huge corpus of information that it needs, kind of huge. This is where the complexity comes in. It needs to know who you are. It needs to know what your clients are. It needs to know what a text message is. It needs to know how it can actually facilitate the use of this text message. And this is where, like, we hear about agents and we hear about tool using AIs, and we hear about MCP servers. We hear all of these like buzzwords about AI all the time, and they're talking about things like this, like memory. Like, what does an LLM know when you are talking to it, that it has in context of that conversation, that it can actually combine what it knows currently contextually with with the tools that it has, with the context that it has. And as these things build up, you end up with a pretty complicated system where you have an AI streaming information, tokens, words, natural language to a user, and then trying to make decisions about what it needs to do when the user's talking to it. So when you add more and more elements, you get a level of complexity that demands a higher resource allocation in the form of tokens and even compute, what is called compute, which is basically like the way that the uh the path for its output or its tool use is even kind of understood to the AI. It's all compute and all works on literally big chips living in a data warehouse somewhere, and they crunch all these numbers, these huge matrix multiplications over and over and over again, and have these outputs or these billions of parameter models that are going on. And so you have to take that and you have to say, here are the tools that you have, here's the knowledge that you have, and here are the tasks that you can do from this point, but I need you to determine exactly what that point is. If a user is saying to you, hey, I need to know how my analytics are doing, I need to know how my exposure is doing, how are my social platforms doing, the AI first has to actually understand what's being asked. It has to
Mm.
have an orchestration layer, or it has to have some sort of categorization pipeline for intent, user intent, and then tools that it can use from that intent. So one of the features that just came out, it's in a prototype phase right now, but if you go to gemecho.com, you can test it. It's deep research, very useful. So it's research that can tell users anything about their own website. So if they ask, how can I improve my website? How can I improve client retention? How can I improve wording on my website? The Gemeco AI assistant can look at a user's website, analyze it, and then give all sorts of helpful insights. it can analyze competitors' websites. So you can point it at any URL on the internet and it will do a whole research and investigation pipeline at that URL. You can ask it what's trending right now in outdoor designs if you do that for your business, and it will do research into that, and it will be able to pull information from relevant sources across the internet, social media, article publications, all this stuff that says, oh, it looks like flagstone sidewalks and outdoor patios with grills installed are very popular right now. So it has this research capability built in, but it needs to know, it needs to be smart enough, clever enough. I don't use the word smart, it's be like, it's not, it's anyway, but it needs to be clever enough to determine how to articulate these topics of investigation, and then how to take this huge chunks of information that it can get from these research tasks and boil them down into actionable insights and user-friendly reports that can be then output on the EchoForge, and that our people, our clients, our users can look at and say, yes, this makes sense. And then from there, needs to be able to follow up with these topics when users say okay, and they start asking questions about more and more of this stuff. So it's as these features get added and as tools get added and as more complicated tools with larger pieces of information get added, the complexity increases vastly and uses more resources.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we are kind of doing, and we've discussed this before, is bringing a lot of these cutting edge AI developments to regular people, because almost every day I'm exposed to news stories about AI, whether that's fully autonomous agentic systems that can run in their own hosted environment on a VPS and have full access to a file system and a full suite of tools. They can actually upgrade themselves. Everything is very cutting edge, whether or not that's, where are we at in relationship to artificial general intelligence? What benchmark tests are being hit by the latest flagship models that are released by these big companies? How is Quen competing with Claude? And what is Anthropic's CEO saying about the use of AI in military applications? All this stuff every single day is fire hose of information. Um, there, it is completely overwhelming, and there is absolutely no reason for people who are not in software or they're not interested in it. There's no reason for them to have to go sift through this stuff to try to figure out what is actually helpful, because a lot of it is hype and a lot of it is things that are done in laboratory environments. They're
Yeah.
done in research settings, and our job here, you and I, what we want is we want to take these cutting edge developments, whether that's in media generation, whether that's in intelligence, whether that's in research, contextual awareness, memory, agentic systems. We want to put it into the EchoForge in a way that is very simple at the user interface level, and it's
Yeah.
difficult because it's very complex on the back end. There's so much data, there's
Yeah.
so much that has to be done to tie all these systems together in a way that's not fragile. It's robust enough to give consistent information and actually be useful to our users, but at the same time make it simple enough that people can log on and say, hey, I run an ice cream shop right here in this part of Pittsburgh, and I need some new marketing, and you're in a conversation with the Echo Forge that is saying to you, here's what your marketing could look like. Here's what some strategies you could deploy. And it's actually giving you good advice, and it's actually giving you good courses of action that can be followed up on immediately by any business owner in any field practically, that's going to make them, that's going to take, first of all, time, give them their time back. That's going to impact, bigger footprint, bigger impact for their marketing, bigger presence online, better search results, etc. All of it. And so it is. That was kind of a lot of ground to cover, but it's pretty complicated, and but it's an emerging market. It's not going anywhere, and we want people. We sincerely believe, and we've talked about this at length. sincerely believe that people who are able to get on this right away, people who start getting into AI right now, a couple of years from now, they are going to be light years ahead of the competition.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
I would say I honestly believe that they'll be light years ahead of the competition this year. This is the way I look at it. What I would ask a business owner if they, want to know what EchoForge is going to do for them, what I would ask is, well, let's talk about your time. How much time do you spend sending texts? How much time do you spend sending emails or responding to them? How much time do you spend responding to DMs? Then we're going to bridge all the way into how much time do you spend on your social media. And if you don't spend time on it, you're leaving money on the table all over the place. How much time does it take you to follow up with leads, track things? Are you looking at 6 different platforms for your analytics? All of those things, right? And now that's just time savings. And then we're talking about as well, do you know if you're losing potential leads when you post something and the gap between them finding and getting to your website and then filling out the contact form? What if you could just attach a contact form right to that post? And what if you could not have to go to whoever made your website and ask them to custom make your contact form again and have to pay them? But what if on EchoForge you could make as many custom contact forms as you wanted for different types of things, and you can add in there whatever you want to hear from your customer so that when you call that lead, and what if you were notified instantly when you had a solid lead? So that's revenue generation, time savings, and time is money. I believe when I was a business banker, they talked about the average small business owner's time is worth somewhere in the realm of $173 an hour. So I can guarantee that the EchoForge will save at least several hours a week, at least. And then we're not even talking about the revenue generation. You know, and the reason that I don't even want to mention that yet is we want to mention it when we have stats and data. One of the things that you were talking about when we were warning people about what we went through in Milwaukee with those guys, is that there are a lot of people out there, and there are tons of AI companies out there. I see ads for them all the time that are snake oil salesmen. They'll tell you, hey, it can do this, it can do that. And that's one of the reasons that we're even doing this, is so that people can get to know who we are and know what we're working on and where we're at, because it's very hard in this day and age, and I'm sure everyone's aware of this at this point, to believe anything. uh, Everything looks good, everything sounds good, and it's like, well, that would be great, or that would be great. And then I myself have bought several video editing courses as I've learned to do the marketing piece of this, and come to find out it's way worse than free stuff on YouTube. But it was supposedly a Hollywood editor that worked on the Marvel series, and I can tell you that my videos look they look better than his before I even took his course. So like, it's things like that that is, so we wanted to be, and we will be, and we want to continue to be a company that when we say that it can do something, it will do it. And I think one of the things that I want to combat as well is the idea that either, AI is a bad thing and it's going to, take everyone's jobs, or it's this great thing and it's going to be able to do everything. Neither of those things are true. Uh, AI can do certain things, and I'm sure certain people are going to lose their jobs because it does things better than humans a lot of times. Um, but it can be used for good, and that's what we wanted to do. The second thing is, you know, uh, the thought that AI can just do everything for you. In my estimation, that simply isn't true yet. I don't think that it will ever be able to film content like a human. As a business owner, and I tell my clients this, you still have to make content. Now you can generate images, but if you're going to, and what's big on social right now is video, and it will not stop being big on social. You still got to get out there with your smartphone and film some content, unless you want to pay a social media manager, or maybe just a content filmer. Now, the nice thing is with EchoForge, you won't need the social media manager to do the scheduling, the posting, the analytics portion, the setting up of responses to direct messages or responding to direct messages. And then you also get the ability to reach out to your customers automatically um, through text, email, those types of things. Plus, obviously, like you said, the deep research, the AI assistant that's helping you run all this stuff. But there are certain things that AI will simply not be able to do. At least not at this juncture. You could pay tons of money for AI video if you wanted. People are still probably going to know it's AI, and most businesses that we're reaching out to, because we're in small business, they don't really want AI representing their product or service. Um, so just wanted to clear that up, that the reason that we even got on camera and are going to do weekly updates of where the EchoForge is at and what we're doing, and the reason that we just went through this whole thing of how we got here, is trust is huge to us. It is probably one of the most valuable and important assets that a business can have, is the trust of its clients. And I think it's just, as human beings, it is becoming one of the uh, most scarce commodities on earth, is the ability to have any trust or faith in anything we see or hear. And therefore, we didn't want to just run really high end ads with nobody knowing who we are, what we're doing. We wanted to reach out and let people know like exactly what we're doing, where we're at, take you guys on the journey with us, and make something cool, and be able to stand on the fact that if I tell you, hey, the EchoForge now has this feature, you will be able to go into the EchoForge and use and see that feature. And if we tell you we're working on it, we're working on it, and if there's a bug, we fix it. And we're pretty open about all of that stuff, because I know the direction that we're headed is somewhere really cool. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Very exciting.
very exciting.
Very
and
exciting. And
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 the last inside joke there from our buddy up in Milwaukee.
It's not or, it's and.
It's not
It's
or,
not
it's
or,
and.
it's and. We do have a very big real life event coming up that's going to be stellar. I'm not sure about details, like if we're gonna, what kind of footage we're gonna get from it or anything. But
yeah,
we're gonna have a lot. So that's about a month and a half out.
Yeah, Butler County Shark Tank.
Butler County Shark Tank, man. So, we are very excited about this. We have been very blessed in everything we've done, and Ethan has done an immense amount of work getting us all of our business. It's like there's so much more than just the technical side. There's such a human element to this. There's such a huge, and this is like where you're right about trust and communication and the social relationships, and it's something that is immensely valuable, and I'm eternally grateful and so excited for this Butler County Shark Tank, because it is going to be a blast, and we are going, this one's a competition.
Yeah, we were selected as finalists. Yeah. So we were up against, our mentor told us, we got a mentor assigned to us, and he said 25. I did not think there was going to be that many people, but
it's going to be a fight.
We may be up against like 25 different companies in Cranberry, which if you're local, that's a pretty, it's a pretty well off area. It's going to be in a pretty big venue that it should be a very nice and upscale event. So there will be more to come on that, but
we'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah,
we'll keep everybody posted.
Yeah, but we're looking to win now.
Oh yeah,
just
time for the dub.
Yeah, getting the dub. Getting the dub.
It's good stuff, brother.
Thanks for listening. See ya.